Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Dale Menyo. Yesterday, I made a trip down for midday to Wilmington College to visit with the Farm Bureau students who put on every year Earth Day, Ag Day, and celebrate it with the entire campus there. It was a big turnout, and they had a lot of fun. I also got to visit just a short time with Corey Cockrell. At 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon was the official inaugural celebration of Corey Cockrell as the new president of Wilmington College. She's been serving in that role for several months now, but they were excited to have an official ceremony, and her family was beyond excitement for the day's events. As we check out other notes, yesterday, U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins applauded the International Dairy Foods Association announcement that the IDFA Healthy Dairy in Schools commitment was a voluntary, proactive pledge to eliminate red 3, red 40, green 3, blue 1, blue 2, yellow 5, and yellow 6 colors in milk, cheese, and yogurt products sold to K through 12 schools for the National School Lunch and Breakfast programs beginning during the 26-27 school year. America's dairy farmers and the milk processors have always led the way in providing our families and school children with healthy, nutritious, and delicious milk products. While I look forward to getting whole milk back into the schools, this announcement shows how the dairy industry is voluntarily driving change and giving consumers what they want without government mandates, said Secretary Brooke Rollins. I thank the IDFA and the dairy industry for leading the way and looking forward to other industries thinking about how together we can make America healthy again. Today's weather brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
Dry over most of Ohio here through today. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at that forecast update. Most of Ohio means pretty much everything south of US 6. Now, we are seeing a little bit of activity trying to pop up with a minor disturbance coming across northern Indiana this morning into northwest Ohio. Most of it's cloud cover, but I won't rule out a random shower here or there. Otherwise, the rest of the state is going to be dry through the day today, and I think we see good sunshine, good evaporation. We should string together a mostly dry Thursday. A little bit of activity trying to come up Thursday evening into southern parts of Ohio, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's more heat-based action. And then we move into Friday. With this is where we see our next well-organized frontal passage. Clouds build a Friday morning to midday, and we see showers and thunderstorms through the afternoon and evening. Action should be done by near or just after sunrise on Saturday, and we dry down Saturday afternoon. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Let's check in with Joel Penorwood as he got to spend a little time with the planter yesterday.
The first cab cam of the 2025 season takes us to Champaign County, where we jumped in the cab with David Phelps of Phelps Farms. Their area seems to always be some of the first in the state to get major planting progress done each year.
Yeah, that's true. And people from other areas say, you guys are planting already? Like, yeah, it's planting real nice. So
the field we were in, a couple pivots in that field, we were planting corn.
Let's see, this is Tuesday. Since Friday, I've probably planted 500 acres of corn, and I think we're maybe about 300 acres of beans done.
And their perspective on when it's time to get rolling?
All of a sudden, one day, you just realize, hey, we're ready. I don't know if it's the neighbors start going and everybody gets excited, or the soil looks right, everything feels right, and all the factors just one day culminate, and you're like, oh, it's time to go. You can't really plan to say, I'm going to start April 20th. You never know. So take your time, think about what you're doing, get it done right, and don't worry about what your neighbors are doing. You just do what's best and right for you.
That's David Phelps of Phelps Farms in Champaign County. Watch the full cab cam video online today at ohioagnet.com. The 2025 Cab Cam series brought to you by Precision Agri-Services, Inc. More from them at precisionagriservices.com. I'm Joel Penorwood reporting.
And thanks, Joel. Oil futures rose together with equities Tuesday morning after falling 2.5% in Monday's session in a broader sell-off triggered by worries over the Federal Reserve Bank's political independence and uncertainty over its future chairmanship. New York MEX traded WTI for May delivery rose $1.02 to $64.10 a barrel, while the ICE Brent for June delivery gained 78 cents to 67.04. Front month WTI and Brent contracts were down 58 cents and 93 cents from the start of the week, respectively. The U.S. dollar index gained 0.111 points, bringing it to 98.155. The move in oil prices so far this week has closely aligned with equities and not triggered by underlying market fundamentals, while calendar spreads are hitting at tighter physical supplies in the near term. Demand growth woes are still driving sentiment and leading to slashed price outlooks. Let's check back in with Joel Panorwood with this week's Buckeye Temp Tracker report.
Time for this week's Buckeye Temp Tracker, brought to you by B&A Genetics. Real service, real results. We take a look at soil temperatures around the state in 4 counties each week. Things up for the most part from last week, but not in every county reading. In Morrow County, the field of corn stubble we've been keeping track of, 49 degrees Fahrenheit. Bean stubble, 51 degrees. Just a degree different in each of those fields from the week before. The Perry County corn stubble field, 53 degrees Fahrenheit, up from last week's 51 degrees. And in the bean field, 55 degrees, 2 degrees higher than last week's as well. Fayette County seeing the biggest change upward on our tracker. 55 degrees for their corn stubble field. That's 5 degrees up from last week. And a 6-degree change for their bean stubble field at 58 degrees Fahrenheit. Mercer County lower in temperature, 45 degrees in both the corn and bean stubble field, lower from last week's readings. Take a look at the trends in our Buckeye Temp Tracker online at ohioagnet.com, thanks to B&A Genetics. I'm Joel Panorwood reporting.
And thanks, Joel. Back with more after this. Soybeans are a game changer for Ohio's pork industry. Pigs thrive on soybeans' perfect blend of protein and energy, helping hogs nationwide devour the equivalent of 292 million bushels of soybean meal annually. Ohio is number 7 in pork production, contributing to the billions of pounds of pork enjoyed by families across the nation each year. From sizzling bacon to barbecued ribs, soybeans power the farms that feed families. Brought to you by Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Every time you use biodiesel, you're fueling more than your engine. You're investing in Ohio's farmers, reducing emissions and creating cleaner air for all of us. Did you know biodiesel adds 13% in value to every bushel of soybeans grown? That's good for farms, good for families, and good for the future. Drive with purpose. Choose biodiesel. Learn how at soyohio.org.
Joining me is Jenny Tower at Wilmington College. I've talked several times with Jenny as the Associate Director of Admission and Agriculture Recruiting. What's the recruiting like as we continue with all the discussions going on in agriculture? Hard to find employees, getting people to work. So what's it like in the college world?
Yeah, and once again, thanks, Dale. It's always great to talk to you. Things are looking good at Wilmington. I know there's demand out there in the industry and there's demand in higher ed for ag. Wilmington continues to offer a phenomenal degree in agriculture for future innovators. And we are going to be sitting a really exciting class this year of future agriculturalists.
Quick update, will you be at the FFA convention for all the young people who want to pick up some new information?
We will. We will be there both Thursday and Friday in the Career Show building.
That'll be a lot of fun. There's always a lot of blue and gold, so your green really stands out there.
Yes, it does.
For people who want to know the website, before we go too much further, what is it?
Yep, website is www.wilmington.edu.
Wilmington.edu. Now, when we talk about the chance to visit, because I've been here several days, we were on visitation day. It's a little bit later in summer. Can people just come down and visit? Do you want them to sign up for a day? Do you do a day for lots of people? How does all that work?
Yes, and yes, Dale. So we are here year-round, do individual visits throughout the summer. So if you're an individual or your student's an individual who's ready to have that one-on-one conversation with one of us in the admission office and maybe get a private tour of the academic farm, equine centers, we definitely encourage scheduling an individual visit to meet with us. For those that maybe aren't ready yet to have an individual visit, we do open houses and large program days. And really that across the board, whether it's a student who is wanting to study agriculture or equine, we've got specific open houses related to those days. But also for the student who maybe grew up in an ag background, wants a rural environment for their education, but maybe is looking for a degree in something outside of ag space. We have days devoted to those types of students as well.
What about students that came in like me that really didn't know what they wanted to do, but they knew there were certain things they were going to have to accomplish no matter what the final major is? How do you help those people through the program?
Yeah, so those students we work with the same way would a student who has every idea as to what they want to do. A lot of times students change their mind. Sometimes drastically, sometimes maybe just tweaks and changes slightly to a degree program that they're looking to pursue. If a student has no clue what they want to do yet, we're going to treat them the same way we would a student who has it all figured out. We're going to give them some ideas as to what they might enjoy, what they might be good at, and then start working through different opportunities that we have here on campus for them.
Do I remember years back in our early conversations, you actually had students knew exactly what they wanted to do, but didn't have a major for that, and it was a self-directed major?
Yes.
Does that still exist?
It does. We don't talk about it a whole lot because a lot of times those types of conversations have then led to recent degree completion programs that we have for students. But in fact, because of the size of our institution, because we are intentional with our student experiences, if we do have a student who wants to do a lot of things, maybe is really zealous in their academic career, to keep them on track, we might do a self-design major that pulls the best components of several degree programs. Or if they fall in love with the college, but maybe we don't have that degree on paper that they're particularly looking for, same concept. We can work with a team of advisors to really build out that degree program for that student to ensure that they're getting what they are expecting out of their education and what we promise.
And some of those students actually helped create programs that now exist because of that intentional program that they helped design.
Definitely. One of our most recent success stories from that is our degree in ag policy and advocacy. So we had students who got really excited after our annual trips to Washington, D.C. to advocate for ag issues and policies. And so our students were combining a political science degree with a degree perhaps in ag communication or ag business. And so after having several students that were dual majoring, we decided to work alongside the political science department and develop that ag advocacy and food policy program. It's worked really well for us. It's led to a lot of success for a lot of our students in grad school and in law school, changing and making a difference at the state level and also at the federal level.
I've been visiting with Jenny Tower, the Associate Director of Admissions and Agriculture Recruiter at Wilmington College. Check everything out at wilmingtoncollege.edu. By the way, the sky's the limit in Wilmington. Also, don't forget the Ohio Soybean Council invites you to learn more about biodiesel and how this cleaner, efficient fuel boosts engine life, adds value to soybeans, and drives real savings for farmers. Visit soyohio.org for more information. Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. Want to market your beans to LDC? Give them a call at 574-566-2113 for more information. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished mostly lower on a Tuesday. Only the soy complex, or at least the soybean market, made it into positive territory. It wasn't the soy complex. Oil and meal both were lower. China was back in the marketplace yesterday buying beans, but they were not buying from the U.S. China secured a decent amount of Brazilian beans and was pricing them, of course, based on where futures were here. Brokers estimate that managed money sold about 2,000 contracts of wheat, 4,200 contracts of corn, 2,200 of soy oil. They were buyers of 2,400 soybeans overall. Remember, First Notice Day against the May futures is just 4 days away, so we're going to continue to see a little bit of mixed market action there. The EU not seeing an increase in late season wheat export demand. That is adding to supply in stock. Paris spot wheat futures have fallen to their lowest level of the year. They're within about $2 to $3 euros per metric ton of testing an uptrend line that goes all the way back into early last year. So we'll see whether this support can hold or whether we bust right through the support. Now, as we take a look at other stories, there was a little bit of talk about acreage again yesterday. I think that's mostly due to the fact that we finally got some decent weather, at least locally here, to try and toy with the idea of getting back into the fields. On Monday, crop ratings came out. Illinois wheat crop ratings fell sharply. As we take a look at what happened on the planting side, well, too much water was a problem on the soft red winter wheat side of things, so that also is probably a story when we get into planting progress as well. We did not see a huge push of movement in the planting progress across a large part of the country, but as you take a look at soil moisture levels, you get back into western parts of Illinois and into Iowa, they're definitely drying things out a little bit more. That's where we're seeing the biggest planting progress here to this point in time. The forecast, though, gets rather damp going all the way back into the Central Plains later this week, all the way through next and into the first few days of May. I'm Ryan Martin.
And thanks, Ryan. Today's market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Overnight at the open, December corn up 1.5 at 4.59.5. November soybeans up 8 3/4 at 10.35 1/4 cent. The July wheat is up 0.5 cent at 5.50 3/4. September is up a penny at 5.65 1/4 cent. April cattle closed at $211.37, up $1.60. Maline hogs were up $1.20 at $92.22. And August feeder cattle up $2.10 at $291.25. This is the Ohio AgNet.